Welcome back, everybody, to part 2 of the series in which we'll be taking this beautiful 737 NGX from Port-au-Prince, Haiti, which is Mike. Oh, what is wrong with the volume? There we go. Mike Tango Papa, all the way over to TNCM, which is Tango November Charlie Mike, which is the most coveted St. Martin, Princess Juliana International Airport in the Caribbean. We find the Caribbean Airlines livery with the 737-800 NZX with winglets. If you have not watched the first part of this video, which is already up, click at the top left-hand corner for an annotation to that video, which is where we pretty much everything precursor to this. I cut that video off before the top of descent, or the top of climb. Sorry, by the way, top of climb. And then I'm kind of started this one at the top of descent. Really nothing happened. It was only about 40-minute flight up until this point. I figured save that 40 minutes of footage and disk space to not put that on YouTube, because it'll just, why make a separate video? Who's actually going to watch it? That's kind of what was going through my mind. So to me, it didn't really make much sense to do it. So I decided against it. So that's pretty much where we're at right now. And that's kind of what's going to happen for the rest of this. So pretty much, we're just preparing for our top of descent. Not really preparing that much, because we haven't got all that much to do at this point. For ones that we can start putting in our landing preparation. Just 1 second here. I've got to do something to increase to help increase the frame rate here. Sorry about that cut. I was having some frame rate issues just due to the fact that I was trying to render the previous version just in the background. But then I figured, we have time. I have time, rather. I'm not going to take up that frame rate and ruin that frame rate just to get that video up sooner. I want to be able to have good frame rate in this video so I can give you guys a good product. So that's pretty much where we're at this point. Like I said, just doing some pre-descent preparations. Not really much to do. Sorry for that voice crack again. I'm sick. Sorry. Like I said, not too much to do. We can come in here right now and set our approach parameters. We'll be doing flaps 30. It's really not a windy day, so we're not going to be needing. That much flaps. 40 is really not really going to be what we're needing at this point. And here MCP altitude, not really necessary. We are at standard barometric altimeter at this point. It's 6.7 miles until the top of descent is, and I don't know why we're increasing our thrust at this point, but I don't know why that is. Oops. We have a leg that's supposed to be 3. Let's just set that there, and then it will do all. But like I said, it will end up calculating all that. So at this point, we'll start lowering our altimeter, not altimeter, but our altitude. Sorry. We'll do the altimeter when we hit 19,000 feet, or 18,000, I should say. But altitude will set down to 2901, which is our next waypoint's set altitude. Well, it was the one before this, but I accidentally switched them up. So we'll go down to 240, which is the one prior to this. As soon as we cross this line, we should start a descent. You should see this descent marker start to come down here. Vertical speed marker, I should say. As soon as our speed gets regulated, I'm quite sure it will start. This plane is so advanced that it also has the radials and use of the certain VORs. We're just passing through, so we're not going to pay attention to those. In real life, we would be, but today we're not going to be. Here we go. Set 240. Like I said, they should start the top of descent now. But it seems that sometimes the aircraft gets kind of confused and you have to reset and VNAV, and then it will go down drastically, and then we'll get a little bit of a cushion pulling back up to slow down that vertical speed, and then it'll tip back down again, which is what we did there. It's kind of got a, for some reason you can see like I'm not doing anything right now. It's just giving itself a drastic vertical speed for some reason. Can't really explain. Maybe it's, oh, I see why. The speed is set higher. Therefore, as you can see, the speed is set higher. It will if it can not use, it'll try to get that speed without using thrust. So therefore, it's pitching down at 4,300 feet per minute, negative. It will get up that speed, and then it will start to level off there. Still not that close to the airport. Still got about, let's see here, got about more or less 100 miles to go. This is a good place for it to start our descent. We'll pretty much keep these, low-level cruises for the last part of the journey here. What we'll do is we'll try to see where our fuel is. Okay, it's actually right there, and I'm an idiot. I forgot. Like I said, haven't flown in a while. So we got about equal amount here, 5,000. We started off with about 8,000 in each tank, so we're burning really well as far as fuel. We'll have more than enough fuel left over for the remainder of our journey, and we will have more than enough if we need to divert somewhere, which we won't, because the conditions here at TNCM on this day are quite gorgeous, as they normally are at TNCM, because it's in the Caribbean. There are minor sorry, there are some different approaches that they have there. I believe, I don't want to say this, I don't think they have a VOR approach, but I think they have a NDB maybe. I don't know. One of the non-precision approaches, I know they have one. But I've never seen a video of a plane landing there at bad weather. I don't believe with the, I don't think it has many days that there's IFR conditions, but I think when they are, I don't believe they go, because the hills in the background, I don't believe it would be very conductive to have an aircraft going for a go-around in those kind of conditions with the mountains in the back. It's kind of where we are at right now. Like I said, not really doing too much, just keeping this back. I might end up just making a cut. Like I said, might just end up making a cut, and then reaching back to an important part. Like I said, just wanted to include you guys in the beginning of the descent. So, really nothing happening. I can't really commentate on something that's not really happening, unfortunately. This is one of the largest limbos of the journey, where really nothing is happening, unfortunately. So I just decided to cut a little bit farther into the flight. Like I said, just so we don't have that just bulk footage that's just not interesting footage. So that's what I did. Currently we're en route to Mali, which is a waypoint, or Mali I should say, because Mali is a drug, and that doesn't sound very nice. So we're en route to Mali, and then we really don't have that much to go left on the journey. Then we have TT, which you remember that waypoint from before, and then Gouda, which is actually quite a far trek from these two. So it's quite a far ride from Gouda to Gouda from these two waypoints. And I think I'm just going to remain at these higher altitudes, just in order to, I'll probably patch it off right here at 20,000 until we get to an acceptable distance away, because we really want to conserve that fuel. As you can see, like even this little part, we've already got down to 4,800 gallons just from being at such a low altitude, because we were up at almost 40,000 feet. So we've gotten quite a large drop in altitude, and for some reason the fuel, the aircraft managed us to come down really quickly. You can see the fuel flow is much higher than it was proportionately before. So we're going to try and keep it at the all-time low. Like we said, we talked about this before, this aircraft is very powerful, and it can hold its own with really minimal thrust. So as you can see there, we're not at full thrust, we're not even close. and we are maintaining quite well. As you can see, we're getting under the curve right here. As now we're reaching about 20 miles away. We'll shoot down for maybe 16,000. Like I said, we really don't need to lose this much altitude because we're going to be in that long trek from STT to Gouda, which will be about 80 miles. So we don't really need to get so low. So I'm going to end up taking this data and putting it in there as well, so that it can form around that. And we can stay at the lower altitude, so we're not in heavy navigator. And you see it'll get a little bit of a bump, and then it'll reduce itself. But like I said, trying to keep as high as we possibly can for as long as we possibly can, because we're gonna have to trek, like as you can see, 80 miles, and that will take quite a bit out of our fuel, which is really quite unnecessary. Really, you're only supposed to start descending until about 100 miles out, so we've already gone to quite low, just by virtue of how it planned us to go. Which is fine, but I prefer not to. I really like flying on the islands, by the way, because it has the same feel of flying over the Atlantic, doing pond hops, except doing a pond hop is much longer, clearly. So instead of being like an 8-hour pond hop, this is about an hour and a half. You can do one of these, nice water all over the place, and then you fly right into a little island. It's beautiful, especially with the nice scenery packs. We're gonna be flying Fly Tampa today. Not Fly Tampa, but Fly Tampa's scenery for TNCM. Very excited to do that. It's, really nice quality, very nice quality scenery there. And you'll see that it has a very good ability to handle high quality things. This aircraft with high quality add-ons. Like I said, maybe by virtue of my system, maybe just because the aircraft has good performance. It's just. Take it with a grain of salt and then judge it by your own opinions. Because everybody has different computers. That's a huge thing that everybody has to realize. Sorry about that sound. Everybody has different computers, so if this works well for me and doesn't really have that much impact on my frames, it doesn't mean that it won't be like that for you. Or it doesn't mean it will be like that or will not be like that for you. So keep that in mind. See what this does. I don't really see it doing anything actually. Yeah, floodlights. I don't think the floodlights are going on. Never turn the landing lights off, just unnecessary. I mean, we could turn them off now, but we've already had them on for a very long time anyway. As you can see, those are the retractables that just went up. They were just down here on the belly, right here, which were retracted out. As you can see, beautiful aircraft. Boeing did an awesome job with the later versions of this aircraft. I think the earlier versions are super ugly. Up until I like the old engine airliners, 7.3s. So like up to the 200, everything between the 200 and the up until the 7, I believe, are very ugly. But I think the retros with the old engines are very pretty. And then between that, I feel like they're disproportionate until you get to the winglet versions, like the 7 through 9. Also, they're very versatile aircraft at the same time. Some of these 7.3s. The LR versions can go quite far, farther than you would actually think. Some of them can be used for BBJs or just really long flights that go in between small airports, or really long flights that necessarily don't have that much passengers that they want to bring. So I think the LR can get somewhere near the 737 700 LR can get somewhere between 3,000 and 5,000 miles. I don't know which one it is exactly, but it's between 3,000 and 5,000 miles, which is absolutely ridiculous. 5,000 miles is between Los Angeles, about 5,500 to 5,800 miles is between Los Angeles and Paris. So that's quite a large distance for a 737 to go. Like I said, it's between those two values. I don't know exactly which one, so don't quote me on that. Here we're going to have to get down a little bit quicker to 16,000 before STT, sorry. and we'll leave that there until it's absolutely necessary. And we'll stay, like I said, we'll stay up here at this altitude until about halfway there, and then we'll continue to go down. And really, we don't have that much left, so I'm very excited. I had a really good time flying this flight, and it will come to a close soon. We should be able to see TNCM over there in the distance. I believe it's covered up by this blind spot, but I think we already saw it. So I think that's the problem. So standard altimeter is gone. I'm looking at my phone right now. I'm not prepared, I know, but I'm going to look up the METAR for this airport, and I will get us a altimeter. I'm sorry if you hear some wind. I really like having my windows open. It's a really nice day today. One of the first days of spring, and I gotta utilize it. You know, I can't let it go. It's really really nice day, and you know it's not cold at all. So I'm liking it. So that's annoying. It's on HPA. So it's HPA is, I believe, let's take it off standard, 1018. So that's close to the standard HPA, which is 1013, if I'm not mistaken. It's a standard altimeter for HPA. Like I said, you know, you guys might know I'm from America. I don't use HPA when I fly, ever, unless I'm flying in another part of the world, which, you know, if I'm flying VATSIM, is usually never. So, you know, obviously it says incorrectly. I don't have the real world weather on right now, so clearly it's incorrect, but we'll just go by that. Especially, I mean, it's sea level, so it should be somewhere near that the mean value at all times. It should never be like 1,100, because that would be, you know, way too high for sea level. There'd be something very odd with the barometric pressure in those days, which I doubt is ever like that. So as you can see, getting us flying tips. Altimeter is set incorrectly, whatever, it's fine. We realize that, and we're if it is gonna say that, then I'll just let them set it, because I'm not gonna have that pop on the videos. But if it stops, then we'll leave it like this. There we go, leveling off at 60,200 now. Like we talked about not too long ago, about 80 miles. This plane will be able to maintain the speed that we have it set for quite nicely. You know, it's annoying. I'll just give it there 1013, which is standard, which would make sense because it is sea level, as we spoke about. So just gonna let the aircraft fly itself for this duration of time. When we get below 10,000 feet, I'll probably take control of it, because we all know this is a visual approach, and when we're gonna be on the visual approach, we want to have a smooth transfer from autopilot. We don't want to be doing all this stuff and transfer over to autopilots, or from autopilot to hand flying. So most likely, what I will do is I will hand fly somewhere, you know, at a reasonable altitude, so we're not, you know, racing all over the place and then hand flying, which is not what we want to do. We want to be ready at all times when we're doing things. It's like, look at that, it's trim. What is this? Yeah, it's trim. Trim on the electronic trimming tool, I think is what they call it. In my plane, I believe that it's electric trim manager. Here we're, as you see, we're blowing off some speed, so that's the speed brake arm, but let's actually deploy it. You can actually just deploy it in, like, that's cool, like different manners. So there we go, it's full flight extension right now, just trying to get us down to the speeds that they want us at. For now, 240 actually is what they want, what the aircraft desires. So I don't know why it's trying to go below that. Just give it, you know, sometimes there's quirks where sometimes you have to just put that in there again and have it register. Sometimes it's not that way. You know, for now, because we're flying VNAV, it's really not something that I use all that often. So, you know, I might just take it off VNAV and then just have our speed ourselves, as well as our altitude. It's much easier to control it that way when the aircraft is out of the question, if you know what I'm saying. So now, as far as altitude and speed, we have full control. It's easier this way because now I don't have to worry about the aircraft making rash things and doing things and not knowing what's going on. It's much more stabilized this way, and I think it'll make for a nicer arrival into the airport. So like I said, you know, we don't really have to plan for this approach. I mean, it's good to brief approach at, you know, at all times. Every single time you brief an approach, you should be every time you do an approach, you should be briefing it. But Alas, this is a very simple approach. It's going to be a visual. There's, more experienced pilots here, 500 plus hours on the sim. It's just going to be a normal landing here. So we don't have to worry about that. We'll give ourselves, let's see how far this comes up on the estimate here. Let's give us a little bit more down. Should show up somewhere around here. If we can get a perfect value where we'll be right around here, that would be perfect. We'll just leave it there and we'll start this descent through to 5,560 feet. That looks like it'll be good. And if we can get this plane is very good at maintaining the values that you set for it. So if I want it to be 240, there's plus or minus 3 or 4 knots. It's not going to go that much higher, which is really good, because if you're flying check rides and you do virtual airlines like I do, it's very annoying if you're flying an aircraft that is very unruly with how it operates. Many times it happens where you're flying and you look over, you set it to 250, but it's actually at 270 because it doesn't do well with outside changes. So that's something good about this aircraft. Obviously, unless you put it into situations where it cannot hold that with the current thrust settings. Like, as you can see, I put it into a situation where it has to have a negative vertical speed. Therefore, it's going to gain speed. So we can help it out in that manner. But if you set it up to a speed in cruise, if you set a speed to in level flight, it will maintain that speed with precision, as well as if you set it for headings and altitudes directly. VNAV, it can be a little less accurate just by virtue of VNAV calculations and stuff that it does itself to sometimes influence the way that it is depicted on your aircraft. So as we said, really not that much time left to go. We're about 50 miles away from Gouda, so that's just enough time to prepare. Just negative 1,000 feet per minute, that will get us there, just on time. So like I said, we don't really need to be doing that much more. We can go back into our approach and reset our flaps, because our weight has changed. As you can see, the VREF speed went down by 1. So now instead of being 3142, it's 3141, because we are dropping quite a bit of fuel. As you can see, top of descent we were at about 5,100 fuel pounds. Now we're about 4,400 per tank. That's just how it goes being at low altitude flying like that. So like I said, we just switched that out. We don't need to get real slow. I don't want to get too slow with this aircraft, just because getting slower, it's just more likely that we would stall. Not saying that we would stall, because I have experience with this aircraft and I don't believe we will stall, but just being a safe pilot, making safe decisions, that's really important. As you guys know, who are pilots, people that are pilots, we just gotta make safe decisions, and for the people that are on the plane, there's no reason to get that slow, so why do it? If there was a situation where we would have quite a bit of, say, crosswinds, or strong winds of any kind, or like up drafts, down drafts, or wind shear, stuff like that, we would put that last notch of flaps to get that extra maneuverability. But since it's unnecessary, we're not going to do that, because we want to keep that speed at a reasonable level. Yeah, so we're going to keep it there. Usually I would go full flaps, but like I said, not necessary, so we won't do it. We're going to have to mainly keep it inside the cockpit for the remainder of the flight, just due to the fact that we're going to have to maintain our concentration as much as possible. So, unlike... sorry about that. Something that we would know by just being pilots, that when we're on these critical stages of flight, is what we call it in training. We're in a critical stage of flight right now, which is descent and descent preparation, as well as landing soon. So we're going to be all eyes on the cockpit, and we don't want to take our eyes out of the cockpit like going through outside views. We need to keep our eyes on all the instruments to make sure that our aircraft is operating safely and properly, so that we can ensure the safety of all our passengers here. So as we are getting down, lowering our speed, we'll start lowering our speed now to about 210, just to prepare. Because like we said, this stuff can come up on you really quickly. That's why when you have a complex aircraft like this with many systems and that stuff that you have to manage, you have to realize that you have to prepare everything beforehand, because might get to Gouda. Say we get to Gouda, and you might be 250 knots, right where you're supposed, like right where you are legally allowed to be. But that might be way too high, way too fast, rather, for the actual approach that you're doing. So with really complex aircraft like this, it's really important that you're paying attention. Number one, and that you're planning for what you're going to do. Because like I said, briefing your approaches, knowing how the approach is going to go, where you're going to engage your ILS, if it is an ILS, stuff like that will always help for a much better result as a flight. That's just tips from Matt, if you care. If you don't, it's whatever. 31 miles here. Like I said, just coming down to this speed. We'll zoom up in here, check our flap speeds. So flap 1, which is we can get open flaps 1 through 5 can be opened at 250 knots. We don't need that now. We're not requiring the drag. As soon as we turn left-handed onto Gouda, we will probably we'll turn that first notch of flaps in. It's not necessary right now because we don't need the extra drag. The extra drag will just decrease our speed and increase the thrust that we're going to have to put in to go fast, because we're in level flight, rather more or less we're in level flight. 1,000 feet per minute, minus 1,000 feet per minute is really not significant. So if we add that notch of flaps, we're going to have to add more thrust to maintain the speed that we're at. And the problem with that is that we'll lose more fuel, which just doesn't make any sense. We need as much fuel as we can, because if we have missed landing attempts, go-arounds, we need to be prepared for those go-arounds and be apt to deal with them. And that's kind of like what being a pilot is about, being very prepared for everything that could possibly happen. So Gouda, we're only about 27 miles left. Lowering the speed significantly put up the time that's going to take to get there. As we spoke about, that's fine, because we don't, we're not worried about getting there in a hurry. That's actually a really large problem in aviation. People worrying to get people places in a hurry. That's actually one of the JFK Jr. reasons. They were trying to go somewhere. The guy wasn't IFR rated, and they wanted to go to this party, I believe it was, in one of the road, like Newport or something in Rhode Island. And they took off, and he wasn't apt to deal with the situation, but since they wanted to go to this party, they took off anyway. Anyway, long story short, they ended up crashing in the water, and they all died. Very sad story, but use it as an example to set for yourself. To just hold yourself to a higher standard. Not to say that he wasn't a good pilot, not that at all. I don't mean to disrespect him. Just in general, lives can be saved by making decisions that are better. This is a sim, yes, but it can affect how you fly in real life. I have a friend and I both fly sim, and we both fly in real life. The difference is that obviously one's real and one's fake, but this can definitely really take off some of your like what you take out from here, you will bring it into real world, and you will use it. Like I have a problem where when I'm flying, I tend to look inside too much, because I'm so used to flying like 737s and keeping my eyes inside the cockpit with instrument flying rules. So if you're careless in the game, you might end up being careless in the real world. Not to say that that's a done deal, but be prepared and just be a good pilot, and you will be very happy with how everything turns out. So you're just gonna comp our systems. Obviously, brakes should not be anything. Brakes are good. Brake temp should not be anything over 0, or else we'd have a problem. All of our flight controls are doing well. Our hydraulic pressure is good. The oil quantity is a little bit low on A, but that's no problem. It's not going to have any, as long as the pressure is the same. That means that we have the same amount of ability to use the two systems. If the pressure was dropping, we know we'd have a leak, but since the pressure is not dropping, we know we're good. And then we'll just come in here to the whatever this is. I don't know what that is. This? I don't know. I guess it's not a button. You just click it, nothing happens. Okay. We'll be using auto brake 2. We actually, we'll use auto brake 2 because we want to reduce the amount of fuel we're going to spend on the ground by taxiing. So we're not going to use, obviously, maximum because we don't need it. You know, normally we probably don't even need auto brake because it's such a long runway, but we want to minimize the amount of time that we're gonna have to spend taxiing back to the gate. You know, just a decision that I'm making as pilot in command, and that's what we're gonna do. So you can turn up the brightness here. Now the brightness is all the way up, which is fine. No worries. I can see it perfectly. It's midday flight. So I will put down the landing lights. Get the landing lights set up. A runway turn-off's not necessary. Just, you know, all good. Good is about 12 miles away. That should not be long. We should be there in about 2 minutes, 3 minutes. We'll get there, and then we will continue onwards to our final destination. As you can see, we'll go outside. The airport is, oh my god, I didn't even know that. That's why we were wasting so much fuel. Oh, whoops! Don't do that. For some reason, that was weird. That is something weird. I guess I'm too used to the enunciation of flaps being deployed that I didn't check it. That's my fault. You should always check the you know, deployed. But yeah, that's quite odd. I didn't get a speed brake deployed. I just got armed, which is armed right now, but it's not deployed because armed is just when you hit the ground, it deploys. Whatever. All is well. We'll burn a lot less fuel now because we're not going to have as high thrust to maintain our speed like we were before because of that. Now we are leveling off here at 5,500 feet. 7 miles to go to Gouda. Not too far. We'll add our first lots of flaps here now, just to give us a little bit of lift. Just due to the fact that we are getting a little bit slower now, and as we get slower, we need more compensation to have the same amount of thrust that we had at high speed. That's kind of the whole idea of flaps. Flaps allow you to get slow with the same amount of lift, because it increases the area of the wing and allows for more air to be trapped in the wing. And if you guys know how lift is produced because of high pressure and low pressure air above and below the wing, the differentiation in pressure causes lift. Therefore, if you have more area where that is happening, then you have more lift. So flaps actually increase the area of the wing, as you can see, by going downwards, and they allow pilots and aircraft to maneuver themselves better at lower speeds. That's just a little bit of information, piloting information for you there. If you know, most of you probably knew that. Some of you may have not known that, and whatever, you enforced it. So we're gonna be turning here quite soon. Very exciting, almost there. After this, about maybe a 30-mile trek left after this, which really is nothing comparatively to what we just did, and we'll be there quite soon. So estimating maybe 10 more minutes and we'll be there. Here we go, turning left hand onto our straight off final, and we'll just turn down our HUD now. We'll be using our HUD for the rest of the time. As soon as we turn off the autopilot, we'll be using the heads-up display to get there. Right now it's unnecessary to turn off that autopilot, just because, not because I don't think I can, just because it's just unnecessary. We need to be 2,600 or above, so we will begin to turn down our altitude, and we need to be 2,600 or above. So we'll go down to 3,000 for those two waypoints, Ulaba, up until Ulaba, and when we hit Ulaba, we'll start our final descent into our destination. I always like being a little high anyway. You know, to me, it's much easier for me. It's easier to correct high than low. Obviously, being optimal is the best, but if I have to choose between high or low, I choose high, just because when you're high, you have the ability to lower yourself via slats and speed brakes, but when you're too low, you have to use thrust to get out of there. Using thrust can really mess up your approaches, which you just go around. So that's my reasoning behind why I would rather choose high than low. Just some more outside shots, really nice. As you can see, the leading edge of the wing, those leading edge flaps, very, very beautifully modeled. Get nice and close there. Really nice. Flaps also really nice. That engine's beautiful, gorgeous. The reflections and the the look of the bottom is just gorgeous. Very interesting that the wheels do not have like a wheel door. I saw a discussion about why that was. Couldn't really find an answer, but still an interesting feature of the aircraft. Makes it more original. As you can see, just really nice, beautiful aircraft. So not that much to go. Still, that's about 25 miles left to go. Just went 30, so we're going by pretty quick. Now we can start going down a little bit more as far as speed to 200 knots. And now we're going to go bring our flaps down to 2 degrees as we get even closer to our destination. There's our deceleration waypoint right there, which means that we will decelerate at that point to our final, not final approach, I didn't mean that, sorry. We will start to decelerate significantly. So now as we're just adding like 2 notches of flaps, we'll actually go down, get even closer to our final approach speed, which is about 141 knots. By now, I would go and change it again like we did before, but at this point, it's not really as important because we wouldn't have lost that much fuel between now and then. Only about 300 pounds, whereas, sorry, another voice crack because of my damn sickness. Before we lost 600 pounds, this time we only lost 3, so really it would only vary between 1 knot, so we're not going to have to be that worried about it. Really not that worried about it. So that's where we're at as far as now. And so just continuing. Now we're only about 20 miles away. As soon as we turn right to intercept the final waypoints, because they're on a straight line, this is going to be our final turn as far as autopilot is concerned. See if I zoom in nice and close there. There's the airport and all this. Ooh, this is very not stable, very unstable, I should say. There it is. As you can see, it's far away, but that is Fly Tampa scenery. Like I said, far away, just because it's far away, that's why it looks like that. As we get closer to it, we will see rendered stuff, I should say. So now we hit our deceleration waypoint. We will start getting down to 190, add flaps 5. That's going to be sufficient for now. As you can see, we're at about 200. That's about the max, not the max. 250 is the max up here, but this is, they say, this is like the uncharted territory. You shouldn't be in here. This, you will damage the flaps. You should not be here. You won't damage the flaps here, but you should not be here. It's just better for the aircraft and the systems if you don't venture to that area of speed with that flap setting. Now we'll go down to 180. We'll leave this notch of flaps just to allow our aircraft to slow down a little bit more without introducing that drag again. We only need about 210 knots to go flaps 10, but it's not necessary at this point. Still about 20 miles away. 15 miles away, actually. So we're getting real close now. As soon as we hit Ulaba, I will disengage the autopilot and finish hand flying by myself, just making sure that it is Fly Tampa scenery and that it installed correctly. I don't know. I don't know. Who knows? We'll have to get closer. We're still just making sure. It might not be. I don't know. I installed it. I know I installed it. Whether I have to do something other than that, I don't remember. I thought Fly Tampa did it all. Don't know. Like I said, we can't really see. As we can see, I think there are tents on the ground in the beach, so I believe that would signify that it is Fly Tampa software. So I don't believe that the original has the as far as that. So when we hit 2006, as we hit crossover Ulaba, our 2,600 and above altitude restraint will become undone, and then we'll be able to continue our approach as desired. We won't start descending. Really, it's not necessary at this point. So when I'm the pilot in command, when I feel comfortable with descending and feel like it's necessary, we will begin the descent. As you can see, we're going to take in a little bit more thrust here to keep this up, because I added another notch of flaps 10 here. Those leading edge flaps coming down even more to provide, it's in order that so that we don't stall, I should say. Let's see if we can get a. This is the airport, I believe. So, yeah, I think that's the original scenery. Why it's not Fly Tampa, who knows? That's really disappointing. But I will go and see if I need to do something else beyond just installing the product. Like I said, I hadn't installed that since like 5 months ago. It's been a while because I bought those a while ago. And I, like I said, just had to redo my partition and everything. Blah, blah, blah. You guys know what I'm saying. So, we have just passed the last waypoint besides PGM, which is the VOR of the actual airport. So, we will disengage the autopilot, turn off our annunciators, disengage auto thrust, turn off the annunciators, and we will continue flying this by ourselves. Just the trim here. The trim's a little bit set up for a level flight, level attitude flight. Not level attitude, sorry. Level flight, just in general. So we will just continue the approach, you know, as usual. This is a normal approach, nothing special. Little high, so we're gonna reduce our thrust completely and get that desired rate back. As you can see, everything's pretty much set up for the rest of the aircraft. I mean, we have our speed brakes are armed, our auto brakes are armed, our flaps will be set when we get there. So really not that much to do. Flaps, we're going flaps 15 now. Start compensating for that. I really apologize for not being flight Tampa. I'm actually quite upset about that. Maybe I have to go disable in the settings menu. I don't know. But I thought that you just did it. That would be disappointing, especially with all that effort. Because when you reinstall these products, you have to actually. Just gonna extend some speed brakes here. When you get rid of the products, like I didn't have them anymore because I had to erase the entire partition of my Windows. So I didn't have the downloads anymore. You actually have to go and get another download URL from the company. So I had to go through all that effort, and in the video it's not flying Tampa. That's quite disappointing, but no big deal there. So we're still a little bit fast, so I'm gonna end up giving that extending those speed brakes for a little bit longer and pulling up a little bit to relieve that speed there. Like I said, as you can see, we were not paying attention as well as we should have, and that results in some unwanted results. But I think we'll be able to come out of it all fine. I'll finish it off here. See, we're quite fast for what we should be, and that's that would probably we should probably go around at that point. At this point, I'll make the decision quite soon whether we should go around or not. Yeah, we'll go around just to show that this can actually happen. So we'll yeah, and I forgot to put the gear down anyway, so that would be bad. So we'll go full speed. We'll start pulling up the flaps, and instead of going just straight off, oh, I forgot. That does not do anything. I'll just do this. I'll just use the shortcut. There you go. So now with the flaps coming up, we're gonna do a missed approach. We'll just climb to about 2,000 feet, and we'll do a full pattern around the airport. It won't be too long. We don't want to be here forever in the air. For some reason, the flaps were not really adjusting the speed enough. I don't know if I accidentally didn't turn auto throttle. No, I turned it on. I don't know. It's my mistake. I was not piloting correctly. I apologize. I accept all repercussions of that, and I apologize. So please don't be like, oh, you're a bad pilot, you didn't pay attention. I realize that I didn't pay attention, and it takes a good pilot to admit when he's wrong. So imagine that. So here we'll just continue our pattern as normal as the pattern would be. You know, jets is probably a much higher pattern than this, but just in means of time for you guys, let's just cut this a little short, and I'll start adding our flaps at this altitude. Gonna arm the speed brakes so they're not deployed with their arm. They're ready to go at all times. Like I said, I'm very, very, very sorry, apologetic of the that it's not Fly Tampa. I don't know what happened. I really do not know what happened. I'll have to investigate more further until I do before I do next video that I'm doing the scenery, and I know that the scenery is actually the scenery that I'm doing. Very odd that happened that way. So here we're gonna just, as you can see, there's no HUD on the co-pilot side, which is actually quite interesting. I don't know why that design came out that way, but that's kind of interesting if you ask me. By the way, I believe that the reason that we didn't slow down quick enough is because the gear wasn't down. That would have been added drag. So I apologize if you guys are screaming at the screen. It was the gear, idiot. But that was clearly the reason. Just something that I didn't think about. And clearly, like I said, wrong. My fault. Will not happen this time. And I'm quite ashamed that it happened. But we learn from our mistakes. That's a very important thing to realize. So we'll just maintain this speed here because we got quite a ways to go. And I will make it about a 5-mile final. That's all we really need. That'll be quite necessary for. I mean, not necessary. That'll be quite sufficient for this airport, considering it's you know, not a very difficult approach. You know, usually in like flight sim, what is that called? The ATC, regular ATC, will vector you for like a 20-mile approach. Like, that's completely unnecessary. Completely pulls you out of the way. Especially when doing a patterns, this is really all we need. So starting to get prepared here. We could have just done a pattern anyway. It would have made sense to just do a pattern, but the approach is what I did, and I apologize and whatever. So like I said, I apologize for wasting your time. You could have seen this already end. Probably you guys have already left. So if I'm still talking like 1 or 2 people, thank you for staying this long, and I appreciate you staying this long. And I'll give you cookies at the end of this because you actually stayed this long. For some reason, I'm able to get that slow now. It's so odd. Anyway, we'll keep going down and advancing our flaps to flaps 15 at this point as we start to turn back to the airport. We'll have a little bit shorter than a 5-mile final here, but that's all right. We don't really, like I said, we don't really need anything more than that. Anything more than that is just excessive, and really, like, for this airport, it's just unnecessary. So this is going to be a little bit more work for me than it was the last time, just because this time I'm going to have to, at the same time as turning and getting lined up with the runway, I'm going to have to be preparing the aircraft to land. So it's going to be a little bit more difficult this time around, but I'm definitely up for the challenge. I think that it'll be quick, and we'll get these passengers offloaded, and we'll say ta-ra to you guys. So, last touch of flaps going in, gears coming down. So let's put up the volume a little bit so we can get a little bit more of commentary from the aircraft. And we'll stabilize here for our base leg. As you can see, we're a little high, so, like, you know, just giving a little bit of adjustments as far as throttle. We don't need to pitch down. That'll just increase our airspeed. So we need to get a little more pitch up, actually, to just decrease our speed up until 140 knots, and that'll be quite sufficient for our purposes. It'll be quite slow enough for what we're doing here. So, you know, just turning into final here. Gonna line up with the runway quite nicely, actually. I'm liking this approach a lot more. I believe the problem with the approach on the last time was that it was so straight that I kind of got mistaken for how short it actually was. The approach, you know, was 20 miles, but that's kind of, you know, it's short. So I wasn't prepared, I don't think, for what was actually going to happen. So that's my fault for not being prepared, and I apologize, and you guys know what I'm saying. So here we're going to give us some throttle to compensate for the altitude that we're at. We're just going to leave it there. You know, we don't really need to have all these huge adjustments. We just need to adjust so that we're not going to go into the water. Like I said, I haven't really flown in like 1 or 2 months, so I apologize for my really bad flying. But I will get the aircraft to the ground safely with a nice kiss to the ground. So at least that won't be that bad. Obviously, way too low approach, but you know, what can we do about it at this point? Not too much. Just kick that tail over a little bit. Here we go. There we go. Recapturing that glide slope there, that PAPI lights. I'm going to end up for a quite nice approach. We don't really need any more thrust there. And here we come for the runway. There we go. We're there. There we go. There we go. Positive reverse thrust. Speed brakes are deployed. There you go. 60 knots. We're done. I don't know why that seemed like we didn't have that much room to stop. It was kind of a long approach. Long touchdown. Wait, what is this? Whoopsies. I don't know what this is. Sorry for this really discombobulated episode of video, I should say, of J&M Simulations. Just like I said, been a while since we've flown. I'll just end it here because I'm sure something will arise between now and the taxi, and I have to go eat anyway. So, thank you for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. I'll just stop here. If you want to see more about this aircraft, just let me know, and I will be adamant on getting a video up for you. Like I said in the beginning of the first part, if you want to see a specific aircraft on VATSIM, just let us know. I love flying VATSIM. I'll fly whatever you guys want. Like I said, I really apologize for everything that happened in this video that wasn't satisfactory. If you have any comments or questions or concerns, just let us know in the comments below, and we'll do our best to answer you. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.